Aliens, Clowns and Geeks is a film that I really needed to like for a few reasons. I think I first discovered it, I think when it was in post-production, and I was desperate to see it, so it's been a long time coming for me. I finally got around to watching it, and the reason it took so long for me in particular is because I had to wait for the DVD to be released and then import it to the UK, which cost not a tremendous amount of money, actually. I think it was only about £20 or something. It wasn't a horrendous amount of money. So there were various reasons why I needed to like this, and there were a few reasons why I wanted to watch this. Primarily, it's because of George Wendt. He's in it a tiny amount, and I also thought it sounded really quite fun and quite interesting, and having now watched it, I can say that I didn't enjoy it, but I feel like they probably set out to achieve a certain aesthetic, and I think they maybe did that. So I didn't like it, but there might be an audience for it, but I wish they'd taken a different direction with it. I'll read the description from everywhere, actually. This is a description on IMDb and Letterboxd, and this says, an out-of-work actor stumbles upon the key to the universe, is drawn into intergalactic war between clowns and aliens. And my first problem is that I don't like our protagonist. He's played by Bodhi Elfman. Really great performance. I think everybody gave really solid performances. There were no bad actors in this. But I found him to be so infuriating. I really, really hated him. So that didn't work very well for me. I also didn't mention the film is written and directed by Richard Elfman. And that was kind of the first thing for me. I established pretty quickly that I didn't like our protagonist. I gave him a chance. I didn't just have that initial thought and stick with it, but that initial opinion never changed. And basically, it's quite a trippy film, and it's very creative. Credit where it's due, very, very creative. We have some amazing costumes for the clowns and aliens, and that's the other reason why I didn't like this, is I don't think those characters were utilised anywhere near as much as they should have been. I think, and this might be a personal preference thing, but I think it would have been a more interesting film. I think they should have completely jettisoned the non-alien and non-clown characters, because none of the other characters were interesting. They were either just not interesting, quite dull, didn't add anything, or they were kind of annoying. But the clowns and the aliens, they looked fantastic. I thought they looked really fun, really creative, really... I don't want to say I really enjoyed the scenes with those characters, but certainly I found those scenes to be more interesting. So that's more of a personal preference thing. Obviously, if this is the story they wanted to tell, if this is the way they wanted to tell it, then so be it. But for me personally, those are really the only bits that I enjoyed to any real extent. So for me, if you'd removed the non-clowns and the non-aliens, it could have just been a really fun, quirky, probably quite bizarre film about clowns versus aliens, and it could have been quite an interesting experience. But the human characters are just, or the non-clown and non-alien characters are just really annoying for the most part. Not interesting characters. I didn't care about their journeys. I didn't want to follow their journeys, and I only really enjoyed looking at the aliens and clowns. So I didn't care for the film. I don't think it works very well, but I feel like Elfman maybe set out to achieve a certain vibe, and I think maybe that was achieved, and I think maybe some people will enjoy bits of the film. But if you're wanting to sit down and enjoy a narrative from start to finish with some interesting characters on that journey, then it's not going to be this film. Do I recommend it? Not really, unless you're really into this kind of film. It's not really a sit-down film. Maybe it's something you can put on when you're watching with friends and can have a laugh at some of the bizarre moments, I guess. So maybe. I didn't enjoy it. There might be an audience for it. The clowns and aliens were pretty good. The performances were good, but I didn't like a lot of the characters. I don't think it's particularly funny, but humour is obviously very personal, so some people might like it, but it didn't work for me. Check it out if you're curious. I'd love to know what you think of it. I had not necessarily high hopes, as I didn't really know what the quality would be like, but I was very curious to find out. And while I did really enjoy the aliens and the clowns, the rest of it didn't work very well for me, but there might be an audience for it.